Guys, hello, welcome. Today on I need a new name, and we need to get a name for this Mac Report Live podcast thingamajigger. We've got TH14 joining us, and yeah, there seems to be a load of hype in this already. I've had a couple of follows already, Ted. So welcome to the stream, man. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for having me, firstly. And I'm glad to hear Storm is here. He's following me around as usual.
Yeah, we've got Guns Killer, we've got Stormy, we've got Kronk, Boss Brian. Boss Brian just followed just before we went live as well, so thanks, guys. Thank you for the follows if you followed. My alerts are quiet, all the sounds are off, but that's just so that we're not getting distracted. I've got Ted turned right up, and I didn't want to blow anyone's earphones, but by all means, chat away. And throw questions in, and I'll try. I've got some viewer questions already, along with some other stuff, but we'll throw other ones in. Ted doesn't look 130 years old. Okay, so that seems like a good place to start then, Ted. Tell us about the name. Okay, I can guess the beginning bit. Is Ted your real name?
It's my nickname, so yeah, basically.
So where does the 1884 come from?
Well, I'm from Derby, and Derby County were established in 1884, and Ted was always already taken, obviously, on all the games, so I could never just choose Ted, so I just chucked 1884 at the end. I couldn't get one either, so...
Can I higher the volume of Ted? Right, okay, oh man, I'm going to try. Let's crank Ted right up. I'm going to turn everything up, guys. Let's see if we can get it. I know that I'm very loud, so it's maybe that you need to turn me down. Right, Ted, there we go. We've got you back. We want to hear the cutie, exactly. Happy days. Yeah, so, Ted, you're kind of, I think I described you, we had Crunk on a couple of weeks ago, and I described you as one of the most connected people in Clash who doesn't do any content stuff or anything like that. Does that make sense? Oh, I can hear myself. They probably can't, but there you go. So what is your association with Clash? How do you see it?
Well, in the past it was always like we'll get onto that later, but at the minute it's more of like a social / businessy kind of thing, more so than a game at the minute, just because of my ability dropped off quite a lot. So I started focusing on the behind the scenes kind of thing, because not many people really focus on that at Clash. So it was quite a big void that I thought I could fill. So it's more of like a not entrepreneurial, a bit of like a bit of experience almost to move into the eSports scene, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, no, I would say entrepreneur. I think I would go with that, like spotting a gap in the market, seeing where there's an area for like a competition, or like that it's that creativity from the entrepreneur stuff. Yeah, I totally get where you're going with that. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So you're Show your iron brew. Here you go, Floxy. Sorry, man, I got distracted by Floxy, which is not a surprise. Floxy is yelling abuse. As always. But yeah, so got your kind of association. So like you were playing Clash before. How did you get into Clash? How long have you been playing? When did you kind of stop?
I think it was my third year of secondary school, so that would have been 2015. Is that right? 2015, 16? One of them. And a couple of people at school were playing it, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go. It's something to do. And then we had like a little clan that we used to play in, and there was about 10, 15 of us that were all kind of playing, and there was a couple that were they were like Rush Channel 9s, I think it was, and we were like Channel 6 and 7. And that was kind of like the little thing for a little craze for a little bit. And then everyone kind of stopped playing it just as I started to get like around Channel 9 level. And that's when I started just kind of playing it in, not secret, but kind of just playing it by myself, and eventually fell into the competitive scene. Yeah, I've been playing since about 2015, 16, so it's been a while.
Cool, man. And but so we were chatting before you came on, and we've got to talk about the update that's just dropped today. I've upgraded already, but you were saying you're not going to upgrade. Is that you're sticking to Town Hall 13? Why is that? What's your thought process behind that?
So the main thought process is that I'm not overly good at Town Hall 13, so I don't think I'll be great at Town Hall 14. And if I stay at Town Hall 13, I won't spend stupid money on trying to get up to max. And even though I don't really play, I don't want to be like non-max Town Hall 14, so I end up wasting money and time to max it out and then just kind of letting the account slowly fade away while it gets maxed. So I'm hoping I can get back into playing a little bit whilst I'm Town Hall 13 still.
Cool, happy days.
Yeah.
It's been a bit controversial, this whole update. So I'm quite excited about it. I think the pets are really interesting. In the same way that Siege Machines totally changed the game, you got pets that are totally changing it as well. But the esports scene's pretty angry about it. What do you think? It's good or bad for esports? What's your thoughts?
I think it's good in the terms of it's. With the update, there's been quite a few people that haven't been involved in Clash Clans for a while that seem to be pulled back in. So someone called Surfing Boy, who's a Fortnite mobile content creator, used to play Clash Clans. He's starting up a third YouTube channel to do Clash of Clans stuff now. A couple of people I've seen, like Orange Juice, has posted something about the update. And so has someone called Full Frontage, who's part of Team Liquid. So there's been quite a few different people outside of Clash that seem quite excited about the update. So in that aspect, it's quite good in terms of bringing more viewers, more of a audience almost to Clash of Clans, which hopefully would improve the competitive aspect into like people. The more people watching it means more sponsors and all that stuff. But in terms of actual like players and stuff, I feel a little bit sorry for them because the amount of money they'll have to put in to get to a level where they can compete, so to speak, in these that the Mobile Open and other events that are starting soon will have to be a lot of money. So I'm glad I'm not a player. Is
Yeah, I think
all I can say.
So yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? We've got this you've got this mass. I remember, you probably remember as well, back when Clash Clans used to be, when they used to say, "No, we're not. We're going as far as Town Hall 10, and that's it. We're not doing anything else. We're not introducing new troops." They said that. Supercell said that, and Tencent came along and basically totally revolutionised how they were doing things. Said, "No, you need to get this upgrade cycle going on. It needs longevity, and you need to stop people from dropping off." And that's the main player base are casual players, aren't they? So
Yeah.
That's who they need to appeal to first, and that's what the main sort of drive is for Town Hall 14, and sort of I think where that sort of big, like it's a huge update. It's bigger than Town Hall 13 was. It's massive.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think the top end, the like alternate attacks, Pride Gaming, they're going to get bankrolled. They're going to be all right. But it's your possibly Unicorns of Love. I don't know. But some of your smaller teams like Plug and Play, Unfair Warfare, Silent Snipers, they're having to bankroll themselves, and that is rough, isn't it? That's the guys that are really going to suffer from this.
Yeah, it's going to be a very expensive update and upgrade, and yeah, it's going to take a lot of money, especially with like the most money for them other teams will come in prize money and stuff like that, and then so if they don't upgrade and they're unlikely to earn money back, and it's a hard cycle at the minute.
The World's warm-ups suddenly made sense. I was chatting to Alex Clash of Style on. The World's warm-ups suddenly made sense to me. Like, that was a way to pay your top 8 teams and make sure they had loads of prize money, loads of gems ready to go to invest into that May qualifier, because May qualifiers are really interesting now, aren't they? Do you think Supercell should have not had May qualifiers? Do you think we should have pushed it back to June?
I think from a tournament organizer side of things, I'm guessing they've got stuff in place with sponsors and dates that they've had to set for a long time, where they've kind of like said we need this and that. So then for like the finals, whenever that's going to be, I'm guessing they've got a date in place there. So I'm guessing they've got to go with this May date and then work through it. But in terms of the player base, I do think it's going to be a little bit one-sided maybe if a couple of teams have just gem to max completely, they're going to be at a big advantage to those who haven't been able to max their accounts yet. And I think we'll see a couple of upsets, to be honest with you.
I think you still see some upsets though. Or do you?
Yeah.
So
what
do you think? Town Hall 14's pay to win? That's what people were throwing around. Is that a fair assessment?
I think in the very earliest like competitions where it's only been a couple of weeks in, I do think there's going to be an advantage to being a more max account, but then you still see like Town Hall 12 versus 13 triples in like mixed breakdowns, and even in like the Champions War League, their mixed breakdown leagues, you see Town Hall 12 versus 13 or 11 versus 12 triples. So if the skill level is there, then players even with a slightly worse offense can still triple a base, but it will give a bit of an advantage to people who, well, either way, if your account's stronger, you'll have an advantage. But I do think the best skilled teams will have still go through.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
Cool. Happy days. I'm leading the chat. There's loads of people in the chat. Guys, thank you if you followed. Sorry, I'm not saying thank you for the follows, but thank you very much. There's been a few followers. I'm assuming fans of Ted coming in there. Fluxy, Ted, can you just say hello to Fluxy? I think he'd actually wet himself if you were to say that. Just give Fluxy a wee shout out. There you go. See, he's happy now. Fluxy's going to go off and die now somewhere in a corner. He's going to be so happy. And here we go. What we got? Vertex Cup and NACC was what I was going to talk about next. So you did the Pinnacle Cup. Was that your first competition?
Yeah, when was it? It must have been like November, December. I started planning it, and it wasn't going to be the Pinnacle Cup. It's going to be like a joint thing with a team kind of thing, just kind of get their name out a little bit. And then some things changed, and I just thought it's still a good idea to carry on doing it myself and just kind of find a way to fund it and advertise it and all that stuff. So I managed to come up with the Pinnacle Cup name, and luckily enough of the big teams said yes to playing in it, because I think at the time there wasn't too much else on. And we managed to get a good little season one out of it. I think it was 32 teams we invited. And we had a right good time with the little group stage and followed by a single elimination. And I think it was one of the first few 5v5 leagues, so that was probably why it took off so much, just because it was one of the few ones at the time.
I can't. Someone's asking if I can increase your volume. I can't increase Ted's volume anymore, guys. You're just gonna have to be quiet.
I'll have to talk up a little bit.
There you go. Ted will speak up a little bit. There you go. And Ted, he's not used to being in front of the camera. This is a kind of a first for Ted. So yeah, it's a little bit different.
Nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's fine, man. Don't worry about it. I mean, you've got loads of fans in here. I would actually ignore the chat. They're getting far too.
Weird hearing fans as well. I'm like, that's not right.
And then we've got so Pinnacle Cup was your first thing, and then you moved on. You created the Vertex Cup. So Pinnacle Cup, is that done? Are you not doing Pinnacle Cup anymore?
We did a season 2 just as that coronavirus kicked off. As we just went really big. I think it was it was 150 or 250 teams in. We had 9 European divisions, 9 Asian, I think it was, and then a few, about 5 or 6 South American divisions. So we went really big, which was a lot of work. Had a good season there, but then there was a deal with a sponsorship that kind of took over the Pinnacle Cup, as they were going to fund it, and then I'll just keep on running it. But they kind of fell off the face of the earth. So they technically have the rights to the Pinnacle Cup and the name and all that stuff and the branding, but they just basically disappeared out of anywhere. So they actually paid for the rights to it. So they came at me with an offer, said, we'll give you this much money to take over, and then we'll just let you run it, and we have the rights to the name. And then yeah, they just kind of disappeared, and that was the last I heard of that, really.
Ah, okay, cool. And is that where the Vertex Cup came out of that? Vertex Cup's slightly different. It's this sort of national side of things.
Yeah, because I quite enjoyed doing the events, especially because I'm not playing. It's something to keep me busy in the community still. 'Cause there is still quite a few people I like to interact with in the community. Um, so I thought I'll do another event, and then managed to come to the Vertex Cup, and it was actually me and Fence Post were talking in the Twitter DM at one point, and was kind of like spitballing ideas, and was talking about like an Olympics with nations, and then another idea was about how to do Clash Clans, Clash Royale, and Brawl Stars, and we never quite thought of a way to bring them all together. And then it kind of clicked one time, so I took it to a. That's when we got the idea to do the national teams with the different games, and kind of bring them all together for the champion of the Supercell games, which nationality is the champion. And then it kind of snowballed. Snowballed? Is that the right word? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And it kind of spiraled into what it is, and I got a bit of a lucky break, and it kind of blew up a little bit.
So Northern Arena, they're involved in Vertex Cup as well, aren't they? And also they're doing the Pro League as well. And was that your lucky break? You were talking about getting involved with them for Vertex Cup.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone called Mobile Matt, who's basically like a genius when it comes to mobile esports. He's like the person to talk to if you want to know anything, or he's dead good with everything. I feel like I've learned everything that I need to know at the minute from him. And he was helping me put together a pitch deck for the Vertex Cup, and I got a pretty decent pitch deck put together. And I sent it to a couple of people just to kind of get their opinions on it. And I sent it to Lady B to get her opinion on it. And just at the same time, she was speaking to Carl, who's the owner of the Northern Arena, and he was looking to get into mobile esports. So the timing couldn't have been better that I sent it to her, and then she passed it on to him. He liked it, and then he got in touch with me. And from that, we managed to make an agreement of how the Vertex Cup would work. And so they decided to sponsor that, and kind of left me to myself a little bit. They kind of said, we'll put the money up, you do this, and then we'll stream the finals and see how it goes. And yeah, it went pretty well.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah,
and then off the back of that, we've just had season 2 of Vertex Cup. Probably the most controversial thing about Vertex Cup, the thing that I saw the most in that server, and possibly in streams and all that as well, was asking, how did you choose the nationalities? How did you choose what nations got in? How did you choose the teams that represented each nation? How did that come about?
In season 1, it was really tough to get everything sorted, because there must have been like 30-40 teams in Clash Clans that wanted to take part, like different nationalities. But obviously, because we was doing it with Clash Royale and Brawl Stars too, I had to have 60 nationalities that I could get in touch with a team from Brawl Stars and Clash Royale and Clash Clans. So China was one of the teams that we wanted in season 1, but they can't play Brawl Stars against other regions in China. So they can only play against Chinese players, and they can't play against in like an international tournament. So that was a massive spanner in the works, where we were kind of ready with the Chinese team, and then that happened, so we had to rethink it all. So season 1 was quite tough to get the 16 teams, because obviously I'm kind of a nobody in Clash Royale and Brawl Stars, so it was hard to get in touch with people. And my Twitter account got suspended for DMing too many people that I didn't follow or didn't follow me. So I think I've only just got that back about 2 weeks ago. So I had to make a new account ages ago. So that's positive. I've got it back, but now I've just got a useless kind of account sat around. And then season 2, we only rejected one team that applied. Well, obviously, if there was like 2 from one nation, we'd either get them together, or they'd play off, or we'd just kind of choose one depending on the time restraints. But there was only one actual team that applied that we rejected, because they weren't actually from that nation. They just kind of said they were So yeah,
Team playing for Antarctica, was it? The old Antarctica region on the clan bio.
I think it was Andorra, maybe. But yeah, so other than that, it was just based on who applied, because obviously there was an Irish team that applied, and to be honest, I kind of wrote them off quite early on, which was I just thought, they're just, I don't really know these guys. I'm not sure how well they'll do. And then they came out the gates really strongly. They got a couple of really good wins early on, and shocked me. And I know the other two staff members I was working with how well they performed. So yeah, it's quite nice to get a couple of surprises in it. With obviously none of the teams are the same as what they do play in normal competitions. So it's quite nice to see the different groups of players and some unknown people getting their kind of break on the bigger stage, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Go on then, and then NACC. I'm really excited about NACC. Actually, go on then. Guns has thrown a question in the chat, and actually, I think this is a genuine. I think I have got an opinion on this. He's asked if you think that Corona has had an influence on the Clash scene. I think the COVID virus has had anything.
I don't know how much of an impact it's had on Clash of Clans specifically, but I've been looking when I've been speaking to Mobile Matt and like see stuff he's retweeted or he's mentioned in the Discord server he has about the different figures for this year compared to like the past year kind of thing, revenue wise for a lot of gaming and mobile gaming specifically. Mobile gaming has had like a massive increase because obviously everyone's at home, everyone's got a phone.
Yeah.
So loads of the games have kind of just blown up again. So I'm not sure on like the specific stats and stuff like that for Clash of Clans, but I do know mobile esports has had a big rise, but so has all esports, and I'm sure lots of TV shows and stuff like that have had a higher amount of people watching them. But obviously esports is kind of like the new thing where I'm sure esports takes more money than the movie scene, or not esports, but gaming takes more money than the Hollywood movies at the minute, and mobile gaming takes the most money compared to any other PC or console. Mobile gaming accounts for about 48% of the market.
Mental. I wasn't really aware of that. Yeah, that's crazy. I think
it's blowing up so much.
From my point of view, it's definitely had an influence. I mean, I started my YouTube channel again at the start of the lot. It was about a year ago, and because I had free time, and I was like, I just started playing around making videos, and then bounced into streaming, and now I'm chatting to you. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's these sort of strange things. So yeah, I think it's had a massive influence. I think I felt it in my clan. I felt that more people came back to Clash of Clans because they were kind of bored. And then as the lockdown started to ease around the world, we saw some people drop off again who like work was getting in the way and all that. And hopefully they're all going to come back because of TH14. So yeah. Go on then. Explain to us what NACC is. Explain to us the concept behind it. So you're doing a lot of talking in this, by the way. So I can talk for a bit if you want.
NACC, to be honest, I was just at the Vertex Cup. Without saying it's easy to run, I've got it running pretty smoothly with all the teams. Everyone knows what they've got to do. We had quite a good communication with all the captains, and I was kind of missing the how we ran the Pinnacle Cup. It was obviously all the pro teams, so it was a bit different. I didn't enjoy one more than the other, but I did miss the setting an event up where you'll have alternate attacks facing Unicorns of Loveday, and I quite enjoyed the big names kind of going at each other. So I kind of missed doing that a little bit. So I thought I was trying to think of a new idea because there's so many leagues at the minute that are just doing like 5v5 group stage knockouts, and if I did that, it's just a lot harder to get any kind of sponsorship because obviously what can I do differently that the rest don't already do? Like, why should they give any kind of sponsorship to me over, say, the Global Clash Cup or CWL Esports? Like, there's nothing that I can offer better than them potentially in a just normal 5v5 from their eyes anyway. So I was trying to come up with a different idea, and to be honest, I was watching football because that's what I've done in lockdown pretty much, watched football, ate lots of food, and not really done much. And I was watching the Premier League and I thought, well, there's no like proper Premier League in Clash, why don't I just try and get something sorted there? And that's when I messaged Crunk about it. And once I realised he was on board, I started spitballing the ideas, got everything presentable, and made the little pitch deck that I was actually really happy about. It looked really good, and sent it off to Northern Arena because we were still just getting it. When did I start it? I think it was just as we were starting the Vertex Cup season 2. So it's been under wraps for quite a long time now. So there's been a long time where I've been waiting for it to go public because obviously we can't announce it. I've got to wait for Northern Arena to announce it. So we waited a long time for that. But yeah, it's been about 2 months of discussing things, getting dates set, getting things sorted out. Then obviously TH14 started getting spoken about, so we had to change things around, get everything ready. And then Northern Arena obviously said that they're interested, and we started working even harder on it. And that's when I started to get the team of people together. So yeah, it just kind of, again, snowballed with, once I got the idea there, and obviously with lockdown I've got loads of time, I just kept on pushing until I got my way almost.
Yeah, nice. And sometimes that's what you need, the way, just to push it through. You need that sort of that doggedness. So the way, the concept of the Pro League is, you've got, is it 8 teams or is it 18 teams?
18 teams.
18 teams. 18 Pro teams, the top 18 teams. I reckon I could probably get about 10 of them really quickly, but then the lower half of that, without saying who the lower half are, did you find that challenging? Was that quite difficult to pick, or did you find it quite easy?
Yeah, like
what was the
you
process
said,
you went through?
The top 10 were pretty easy. Like the first invite, well, the only invite at the start that I sent out was alternate attacks, because if I can't get alternate attacks, it's not a pro league. There's no chance it can succeed if you don't have them. And that was kind of like other than the sponsor pitch, that was the hardest pitch that I had to do. I had to get them agreed to like a 4.5 month event where they might not win anything. And 4.5 months is quite a long time to put in if you don't win anything. So once I got them convinced, though, everyone else is not
and it becomes
easy,
easier.
but yeah, once you've got alternate attacks, everyone else is kind of interested because it's going to be a good event and they want to knock them off their perch, I guess. So but there was about 20, 30 teams that we thought could be in that top 18. So there was about 10 or 15 probably fighting for that last 8 spaces. That was really hard, because we even spoke to some a fair few other tournament organisers, some of the ESL staff and admins for different regions, about who to invite for the last couple, because there was a couple of I don't want to say which teams, but there was a couple that we were very 50-50 on which one to invite. We had to get some other people's opinions and make sure we used everything we could to try and choose the right teams.
And then is that where the division, the sort of the second division came about, where you thought, right, we need something that potentially, because that for me is my favourite concept of it. I love that CWL do that, where they've got this now got this sort of like entry division. EYG are doing something similar as well, where you got the homemade and the pro and all that. And I love that sort of second division where they can potentially, the following season, could be moving into that top one. Is that where that came about?
Yeah, kind of, that we kind of knew that there were so many teams that would want to take part and wouldn't be invited to Division 1, but were all good teams that obviously could be good to get involved in Division 2. And also I had a meeting with a couple of community managers with Supercell, and they really liked the Pro League idea, but obviously they wanted it to be inclusive to everyone, so everyone could apply. And obviously with an invited event, that's hard. That's kind of impossible to do, because obviously no one's applying. So then that's kind of how we took the Division 2 idea on, to make sure that we could get more teams involved. And what we're thinking of for the next season, because this is going to be like a long-term event. We're not just planning to do one season, get like the name out there and just kind of dipping off. This is like hopefully going to be a good few years of well, even longer, kind of as long as Clash have got an esports scene. We plan to have this as the main pro league. So we're hoping to add Division 3 next season, as well as we're having open cups. So we'll have different events where teams that aren't in Division 1 or Division 2 can take part in like a single elimination bracket to earn spaces for Division 2 next season, or because then teams that aren't as well known. So there's going to be some teams that don't really have a name for themselves yet, that are new to the scene, that obviously won't be accepted Division 2 straight away because they haven't got enough experience, but then they can take part in these events and earn their spot for next season, as well as we're going to work with a couple of community leagues. I'm not going to say which names yet, but a couple of big names where the winners of that division, that league will then get spaces as well. So we're trying to involve a couple of events together, kind of thing, to try and build everything up.
That's cool, man. I like that sort of working together with different leagues and all that sort of stuff as well. Yeah, that's cool. What about the people that? So you obviously had to upset quite a few people, I think, with the Division 2 teams. I've seen some of it on Twitter already. I'm sure you get a lot more. We talked kind of, me and Crunk talked about when he was on, talked about the process you went through and how it was quite rigorous in choosing those teams. But what do you do when you get like people that are just angry with life and angry with you because you've not picked their team? How do you handle that?
Well, I don't know. It kind of depends on the situation, because we had some people angry that they did get into Division 2 because they wanted to be in Division 1. They thought they should be good enough to win Division 1 kind of thing, but they're in Division 2. So we've had people that are happy to be in, but also angry that they didn't get invited to Division 1. We've had teams, obviously, that didn't get into Division 2 that have been quite annoyed. I must have had like 30, 40 DMs the next day after we announced the teams and said that people haven't been invited. So there's definitely been a few, but most people are quite understanding about it, kind of thing, because obviously there's not much. I'm used to be able to choose everything myself. I've always, like the Pinnacle Cup, the Vertex Cup, it's basically just been me as the sole person running everything. So I've never had to worry about anyone else's decisions being involved. So I've always been able to just pick the teams I want, and then that's kind of it. Whereas I knew the NACC has potential to be really big in Clash of Clans if we can do it right. So I wanted to make sure I had a good team with me. That's why obviously I spoke to Crunk and Danny, David, just loads of them in, everyone involved. They've all got a lot of experience, and obviously I couldn't just say, oh, I want this team involved.
Yeah,
they're going to be involved because I want them. So I have to do a vote on it all, and it was there was about 4 or 5 teams that I wanted that obviously didn't make the cut, which was different for me because obviously I'm used to just being, okay, these teams are in.
It's so funny. Crunk said almost exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Where he didn't get his way. And so a question didn't ask Crunk, but I'm going to ask you, and you can choose to not answer this if you want. But like, what was the team that you were most gutted that didn't get in, that you had to turn away? That you were like you had, like, I've got a soft spot for certain teams. Is there one that you were like, I'm so gutted that they couldn't get in, but it's quite a nice name to be calling out with that?
There was a couple that I even DM'd to say, check out this, the applications, it's starting there. I'd quite like to get you involved. Obviously, I didn't make it.
Oh man, that's gone. Yeah.
The two, which teams? Like, there's a couple that I thought were kind of like on the edge, but there's a bit more unknown that didn't get the amount of votes. And then there's obviously, I don't want to say that one team's, like there's that One Hive, obviously, they're a massive name that didn't make the cut, that I wanted to get involved. One, just because their name alone is probably bigger than any other team in Clash Clans. Obviously, Dark Looters, One Hive were kind of like the big names back in the day. Tribe Gaming and people that have obviously they're probably growing bigger than that, and Alternate Attacks maybe even. But One Hive are just such a big name that even when you're speaking to sponsors, sometimes you can kind of use them and their media side to help and stuff like that. And their ability is they're I think they're one of the most underrated teams in the scene realistically because they've got such a big name. Everyone just kind of slates them a little bit.
Right, yeah.
And then Coastal Clash was another one that I wanted to get involved just because I really like them guys. They're all good players, but they've not been too involved in the 5v5 scene recently. They did quite well in Mobile Open, but then they've not done too much in the community leagues. So I just couldn't convince the others that we should give them the shot because obviously they didn't have enough, in the other people's eyes, enough experience in the scene, whereas the other teams obviously did so. But I would have really enjoyed Coastal Clash in there. I do think they'd have added something a little bit different, especially like with a bit of like banter almost on social media and kind of drumming up a little bit of hype like that. I do think they could have been quite an interesting team to have involved. A bit of a dark horse almost, blast from the past.
Cool, man. That's awesome. What about ambitions for the competition? Where do you want to see it going in the future? You got like, how do you increase that prize money pool, all that sort of stuff? I'm definitely leading you down something that I want you to talk about. It's up to you if you talk about it.
This year, the ambitions is obviously it's going to like obviously each week we're going to have a special, not a special show, a main show like a Super Sunday kind of thing where we'll have a show picked out at a certain time. We'll have it on the Northern Arena channel with casters, and we'll have a pre-show with all the like earliest, like the stats or the recaps, everything like that. Everything's going to be involved like you would on like a proper. I keep on going back to football, Premier League stats. So like the pre-match and post-match, you have interviews, we'll have special guests on, everything like that's going to be. I'm hoping that goes really well because obviously that's a bit of a new thing in Clash. We're going to take the production and the media level up a few notches, hopefully, because Northern Arena are just amazing when it comes to that side of things. Like on the day of the finals, the amount of rehearsals, the amount of different voice chats people are in to make sure production's ready, the graphics, everything's just kind of on point. So I'm hoping that the production side of things blows up really well. This is like obviously quite a big wish almost, but I'm hoping that we get a silver ticket for the last chance qualifiers. I know that in Mobile Open's got a couple, and Supercell are very keeping the cards close to their chest, so I don't have a clue if we're even on the radar for it. But I do really hope that we can kind of use that as well to kind of take the event to another level with, because obviously with $10,000, the competition is going to be high, but if teams can then get a chance at the last qualifiers, that could be a huge thing as well, because obviously the top 5 teams will earn the payout for the $10,000, but then the 6th team, and if there's already 6 teams making it to the World Championships, and arguably the top 5 will be the top 5 teams in the NACC, will hopefully get a chance anyway. We could even see like the 6th team from the NACC getting that last chance qualifier, so there could be it could kind of spur on the rest of the teams that aren't quite going to finish top to potentially get a big prize act. If you get through that, that's a huge thing, getting to the world finals and all that stuff.
Yeah, because the way they did the community vote last time was, it didn't work, did it? That was the reality. There were 2 teams that got absolutely battered in the finals, and not both of them, but yeah, it was just a popularity contest, and Twitter was just full of people buying votes essentially with like, we'll send you a jersey and all this sort of stuff. And
I think the voting, it's good in terms of it brings more people involved into the scene, maybe with having it in game and stuff like that. Because I think there's barely anyone involved in the competitive scene compared to like the majority of Clash of Clans.
That's a good point. It brought it into it was in your game, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there was even about 4 months ago, maybe someone applied to Unicorns of Love in the Discord server, and he was very new to the competitive scene. He'd always been in farm clans and stuff like that, and he didn't know who alternate attacks were. He was a max down all 13. He was good. He was a very good player, but he had no idea who they were, kind of thing. And it's like, obviously, it's just such a massive world apart from the competitive scene to the casual scene. So I think the voting does pull more people involved into or at least makes them aware of it. But yeah, it doesn't really. It's not the fairest way potentially to do it.
Yeah. So Alex has said in here. He said, "Who's making the graphics for the Pro League?" I think he's angling for a job there. But are NACC, are they covering that themselves, or are you looking for people? We might be potentially inviting a whole load of DMs for you here, but are you interested in stuff like that?
I've already had quite a few people ask me about it anyway, but the actual everything from sponsorships, production, we're going to be putting lots of different bits of media art, all graphics is all covered by Northern Arena. We have someone called Gabrielle, who's hired with Northern Arena to cover all their graphics for anything they need. So he's
just explained himself. He said, "I just like the graphics." He was wondering. Okay, I thought he was angling for a job. So he's
the same guy who did it all for the Vertex Cup as well. But obviously, he's getting more into Clash of Clans now, I guess. So I think from the first season of Vertex Cup to the second, and then now onto the NACC, I do think the quality, not the quality, but the relativeness.
Sort of that.
It's more Clash of Clans-y feeling to the graphics now compared to the Vertex Cup. So I'm thinking he's getting his mojo a little bit for Clash of Clans. So yeah, it's his kind of first go into mobile gaming, but I think he's doing a really good job. It's great to have him there because obviously he's just, whenever we need him, he's there to send stuff out. And we've got a few things up our sleeves waiting to publish, which is going to be quite good fun, graphics-wise.
So we've got last week when Alex was on, we did this click speed tester over 10 seconds. Now we've got some technical issues that you're currently using your phone, so we can't.
Yeah.
You had to do this offline. But Alex last week, I think I need to find the notes. I've not made a graphic for this yet, but Alex got 10.2. I think he's probably about to tell me in the chat. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he got 10.2. So we're going to reveal if Ted is above or below Alex on the click tester. This is called, anyone doesn't know, this is called Click Speed Tester at clickspeedtester.com, and it's basically about mouse control. It's meant to be mouse control, but we're using it on our phones or iPads, and you're just seeing how quickly you can tap, because that's relevant to Clash of Clans, kinda. It's kinda like the Stig, going around the lap with the Stig, but it's not. It's tapping a screen. Anyway, so here we go. This is Ted's score in all its glory. 3, 2, 1, boom. There you go. So your score was 9.2 clicks per second. So you're at glorious second place, or another way of looking at it is that you're last because there's only been 2 people. So you decide how you want to have that.
I'm going to pull out.
Alex said he used his mouse and got 13.6. No, that's. But that wasn't the one that he said. Anyway, yeah. You're going to.
Yeah, I struggled. I'm going to use an excuse today saying I struggled because whenever I double clicked, it kept on zooming in. So obviously, I could have beat Alex if my phone wasn't playing up. So that's my that's my excuse.
Blaming the technology, love it.
Yeah, obviously.
Happy days, Fergie. You want to be in the next interview, Fergie? You send me a DM, man, and we can chat about it. I've lost my questions now. We're going to leave that score up, just sitting below you now, sort of looking all glorious. We've not got loads of time left. We're going to kind of, the other side of what you do in the background of Clash of Clans is managing Unicorns of Love. What does that mean to manage Unicorns of Love? Tell us about that.
I know that I've seen quite a lot of on Twitter from different people from other games, seen quite a lot of different kind of definitions of what it is or what it does. But the way I kind of see it is just basically making it as easy as possible for the players just to play. So anything that the teams kind of need, anything that the team needs, I just kind of try my best to take the worries away so they can just focus on playing and building and stuff like that. So I know it's not like a very technical term, but I'm just kind of like the little admin guy. That kind of like just runs around and does all the little stuff that no one really wants to do, just so then that the players can then perform at the best without having to worry about doing the boring stuff, I guess.
Cool. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so, why do you do that? What was the motivation for getting involved in that side of things? So it doesn't sound like the most exciting of jobs.
Well, actually, back in the day, so like about a year and a half ago. Why is it now? April? Yeah, it must have been like September, October 2019, I think it was. A fellow in eSports was just kind of getting into Clash of Clans, and it was before that actually. It was someone called eSports, who I think now are a bit of a dodgy kind of. They're not a real organisation. It's just some guy trying to start something and backing out kind of last minute. But he contacted me about doing some work with him to try and build a esports team in Clash of Clans. So I started to build a bit of a team, and a couple of big name people involved in Aussie esports. And then that kind of all went south, obviously, when he just disappeared. So not really much we could carry on doing. But then Logan, who's now with Vanguard, spoke to me about affiliate esports. So I spoke to the owner there and thought I really liked what he was doing and what he was trying to build and stuff like that. So I kind of just brought the team over and started working with them. But the main reason I did it really was because, to be honest, I wasn't able to put the time essentially into practice and play at the highest levels for the esports, the 5v5 matches, and obviously I was nowhere near good enough compared to like the best players. So I thought, well, instead of playing, I may as well try and manage and take a different shot at the esports career almost. So obviously with playing esports, we started to do pretty well. We almost got to the Town 12 Cup and did quite well in the Clash International Cup and a couple of other things with a few quite famous players nowadays. And then, so that kind of happened. And then since, I think I stopped that in end of December 2019. And then it must have been till about May 2020 when I next got the chance to manage a team again. So I kind of just sat around and didn't really do too much. I started playing a bit more in the off time between that, but yeah, I didn't really do too much in Clash for that period. I kind of had a bit of a break, and then did my events and then got back into managing with Unicorns of Love eventually.
That's awesome, cool. And so if someone wants to get into that, so obviously I think there's quite a lot of teams are getting managers now, and sort of like this admin person that lets the players concentrate, like you say. But if someone wants to get into that, what would your one bit of advice be, or what would be your top bit of advice?
Top bit of advice. Just take what the players say with a pinch of salt, because I know I've worked with a fair few people who get very. I'm not saying Unicorns of Love now or who in the past. It's just I know in the past, and I've worked with a lot of players, especially through events and tournaments, who get quite emotional in the heat of the moment. So a lot of the time they might lash out almost, and then so I would take it with a pinch of salt and make sure that the team that you're building, everyone gets on with each other, because if they don't get on with each other, it's going to break down eventually, and it'll all have been for nothing. So make sure that the personalities match, because you don't want to get stuck in a team where people don't enjoy getting on voice together and don't enjoy playing a game together.
Oh man, that's good. So we've got some viewers' questions here. I've been trying to write them down as people have been throwing them in as well, so I've got a couple of extra ones. But Alex here asked one earlier on. He said, "Do you still enjoy playing?" We kind of covered that. Or do you prefer managing and organising teams? Do you still enjoy the game, or is it more a time thing that you just don't have the time anymore for it?
I was never great with the faster wars just because I'm usually busy doing something else, or I'll be like I've got quite a lot of meetings nowadays with the events and Unicorns of Love and uni work and stuff like that, so I never really have time for 5v5, so I kind of missed out along the Panel 13 stuff, which is why I'm hoping to start playing in some mixed breakdown clans. So that's kind of like a come poach me message. If anyone's playing, do a mixed breakdown. But then I also managed a UK Clash World Cup team, and we always kind of get. Actually, I'm not going to go into that, but I enjoy playing like Channel 9 and Channel 10 with that, mainly because it's kind of quite hard not to triple. So I look like I'm quite good. But yeah, I do enjoy playing when it's not quite as serious as the 5v5 eSports games. And like with the UK team, it's a great group of players, so it's quite good fun. They all quite like taking the piss out of me. But yeah, I quite enjoy it.
I absolutely loved that competition. That was, I mean, maybe a good time to point out that I 3-star during that competition. It was possibly one of my finest moments. Not necessarily that it was you, just that I 3-starred anyone, to be honest. I was getting proper carried. Like, there was someone in my ear the whole time, like, now do this, now do that, stop, right, now do that. So it was brilliant. So yeah, it's brilliant. But yeah, the UK competition was a really nice concept. I really liked it. We've got Alex is just mentioning your just while you're trying to advertise your availability for the mixed breakdown. Alex has mentioned your 1-star in the Alpha League qualifiers was one of his favourite moments, and Homie from Tropical Fire is also throwing shade on your hits last night and stuff. So you've got some nice support in the chat, helping you advertise your skills. So.
I'm just gonna throw out there when I last played competitive, this was like 10 or 11 at CWL. I think I was like perfect at and CWL invite after like 2 matches, and then I got dropped and didn't play again. And then I think I finished on the top 10 leaderboard for NDL Heavy for 10 or 12. So I was good like a year and a bit ago. So,
I think the skill fade is massive. It's so quick. You can lose it so quickly. It's cool.
Spam, so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is so the value of the game, or sort of working out the state of the game is, see if I start consistently 3-starring, then the game's broken. There's something wrong with the game. So that's where I'm at with it. And at the moment, I'm not doing that, so I don't think the game's totally broken yet.
I'm always the one that makes the clan look fair play. I always bring it right down a little bit. There's never any shade when I'm playing.
That's an awesome description. I make the clan look fair play. So what's your end? This is from Crunk. This one. What's your end game with tournament organisation? Where are you trying to go? A similar one. Stormy, I think it was asked in the chat as well. Talked about like, do you see Clash being for life, or do you see this as like a stepping stone into a wider mobile sports sort of esports scene?
I'll go with Crunks first with tournament organising. I think there's potential anyway to get a career in that, like full time. So that's kind of where I'm hoping to get to, like with the ESL teams there, where they have a couple of people that will work on the different events and stuff like that. I kind of want to get to the level where I don't have to do another job. I want to be able to focus fully on either events or something else. And kind of with Storm is, I don't think Clash of Clans will be what I'm involved in for the rest of my life, just because I don't see it being a full-time thing. But I do think it's kind of like it's a great place for me at the minute to gain the experience I need to either go into kind of event management, tournament organising, or go into another kind of mobile gaming management or anything kind of like something like that within an esports team, so that I can get a proper career in it. 'Cause I don't think really as a manager you can be full-time if you're just in one game, especially at the minute. I do think that will change. Like with League of Legends, you can be a manager of a team, and that can be your full-time career. But with Clash of Clans and mobile gaming at the minute, I think you need to be able to do a bit more than just one game to be able to make it full-time. So I don't think Clash of Clans is the be all and end all, but I do think it's going to be a big part in if I do make it in esports or not.
No, that's cool, man. That's good. That's a nice ambition. Is like just trying to make that your career
Yeah.
an aim. Fair enough. So I think this is a good one to finish on. We've got what are you most proud of in the world of Clash of Clans? What's your greatest achievement? We've talked about a couple of like pretty high profile things that are different from what most other people do. But is there a particular moment or an event or just a thing that you're most proud of? And if you say I win a 3-star so and so, then yeah, I'll be disappointed.
Well, other than this,
Obviously.
probably when I get contacted by, because I've had a couple of organisations in the past that have tried to bring me into their kind of run things to them, but obviously I'm with Unicorns of Love and the support we get is good and everything. I really enjoy being with Unicorns of Love, so I quite like it though when someone comes in and tries to headhunt you a little bit, and especially with the event organising. When you have a sponsor, like at the minute, I'm not having to go out and look for sponsors for events overly. I did for Division 2 of the NACC, but then there's another event that will be announced tomorrow. That where they came to me, they've offered me a fee to run everything, obviously, and I'm quite proud at the minute that they kind of come to me, that they've made the contact to then ask me to run their first pilot event and hopefully many more in the future. So I'm quite happy I've got to the point now where even without playing or content creating, like you said, I'm connected enough to be able to get job offers within the game.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's brilliant. Mate, thank you for coming and hanging out. It's been just around about an hour there of talking, and you've had to talk for most of it. That is, I basically just ask you a single line question and then make the other person talk for ages. So thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been awesome. We're going to put this on YouTube afterwards as well, so you can watch this back tomorrow, mate, and have a look at that. But thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, and be like, and then we'll both realise that that no one can hear you, and I've been hearing it fine, but no one else has heard it for the whole time.
Well, we've had a good chat at least.
Yeah, exactly. We had a nice conversation, even if no one else could hear it.